Hey folks, in this lesson I'm going to show you how to hand dye fabric in the Japanese style of shibori. Shibori derives from the Japanese verb shiboru, which means to wring, squeeze, press. The closest English translation would be shape-resisted dyeing. We're taking a piece of cloth, a two-dimensional object, transforming it into a three-dimensional object by folding, crumpling, stitching, or twisting, then dyeing it, and then returning it to its original two-dimensional shape. Once we lay it out flat, what remains is the memory of the shape it had been imprinted on the cloth. There are many variations of shibori, and I won't be showing you all of them, so I encourage you to research other examples. In this video, I'll be showing you examples of itajime, kanoku, kumo, and arashi. I hope you enjoy.
First up is itajime. This technique produces a grid-like pattern by exposing only the edges of the folds to the dye. I'm using pre-washed cotton, blocks of wood, and rubber bands. Start with your fabric flat, and on one side start folding it like an accordion, going front to back. Be sure to crease each fold. Once you get to the end, rotate it 90 degrees, and again fold it accordion style. Place it between your blocks of wood and wrap the sandwich with your rubber bands. Kanoko shibori is a technique that we often think about when we think tie-dyeing. You'll need the fabric and string or elastics. There are many ways of tying the fabric, so I'm going to show you just a couple here. So you could scrunch it up and fold it in half. You could scrunch up the fabric and make a spiral, each time either binding it with string or rubber bands. Either one will work. You could start in the center and make like a tornado, swirling it around that center point, binding it together with the string or elastics. You could even fold it and make very dramatic lines, scrunch it up, and bind it together with string or elastic. With this last technique, pick up your fabric from the center and wind the string around the top, nice and tight. Go down about an inch or so, you can choose the length, and keep on working your way down, sort of like you have bulbs going down. What you'll end up with is concentric circles. Kumo shibori is when you bind an object into the fabric, creating a sort of finger with the object at the tip. Traditionally, you use rocks, but I didn't have any on hand, so I just balled up some aluminum foil. Place the object inside the fabric, and then just like before with other techniques, you bind it with either string or rubber bands. Be sure to be intentional about where you place your objects. Arashi shibori utilizes a new tool for us. It uses a pole, or in this case, I used a stick. You roll the fabric around your pole, or stick in this case, and scrunch it all together. I found it easiest to tie off one side, and then move to the table and scrunch it all as tight as I could make it. Then bind it with the string. Tie it off at the top, and then you're ready. For dyeing your fabric, you'll need a bucket of warm water, a stick to stir, gloves to keep your hands from getting dyed, a face mask so you don't breathe in the powdered dye, your chosen dye color, salt, and soda ash. Time to start mixing. For 3 gallons of warm water, I added 1½ cups of salt, about 2½ tablespoons of dye, and I later added a 1/4 cup of soda ash halfway through the soak, although I don't show that in this video. Oops! Stir everything together, and then add in your pieces. Make sure they are all submerged, and you'll need to stir them frequently over the next half hour or so.
True confessions of an art teacher. So here's where I realized I made a huge mistake. I followed the instructions wrong, and I made a very diluted batch of dye. So I was very frustrated. I paused, came and pet my cat, and decided, okay, I'm going to keep going. How am I going to make this okay? So I decided to make up a new batch of more concentrated dye and think of what I had just done as like the background color. So being an artist is all about, working through those problems and being creative problem solvers. So this is all an experiment and we'll see how it goes.
If you're familiar with tie-dyeing, this may look familiar. I used about 2 cups of water and 4 teaspoons of dye. I applied it with a sponge. You can also put it in a squeeze bottle and squeeze it on, or use a paintbrush. I'm hoping the second try will show up as more high contrast colors, but I'm okay with whatever happens. It's all an experiment. Wrap up your fabric in plastic and come back to it in 12 to 24 hours. Wearing your gloves, rinse your fabric until the water runs mostly clear. And now the moment of truth. Remove all of the elastics and the thread.
It worked. Yay! So I'm really excited about all of these results. My mess up ended up being something pretty awesome, and I'm really excited. So my last step is to wash it with Synthrapol in, it's a detergent for dyed materials, in the washing machine, and then drying it. And then I'm gonna make stuff out of it. I hope you enjoy this as much as I do.